Prepare yourself for Earthling Entertainment with your hosts, Joe and Ryan.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Earthling Entertainment with your hosts, Joe Wakefield and Ryan Lang. I'm Joe.
I'm Ryan Lang.
Hey guys. Well, welcome to, like I said, Earthling Entertainment. Here at Earthling Entertainment, we like to do a little bit of the creepy, a little bit of the spooky. So we're going to have a little bit, something like ghosts, maybe some cryptozoology, followed by a segment called Ryan's Disclosure Discussion, which is always all about aliens.
Yeah, that's my thing. That's my thing.
Absolutely. And then the latter half of the episode is the entertainment portion. Today, we're going to talk about basically worms in movies, and I mean monster worms. That's kind of the theme of today's episode. And, in honor of Dumb and Dumber, it's titled, I've Got Worms.
That's what we're going to call it. I got worms.
Yeah, that's right. And it's because Dune just came out, and our spooky stuff at the beginning of the episode is Mongolian Death Worm. So it's all wormy. Then at the end, we're doing the Oscars, because as you guys know, the Oscars happened last Sunday, and we wouldn't be any kind of entertainment show if we didn't talk about it.
Yep.
I'm excited.
Yeah, this is going to be a good one. I'm a fan of monster worms, thanks to Tremors.
See, and Tremors is definitely going to be prominent in the discussion, so don't you worry, you little Burt Gummer lover. And if you don't...
Man, yeah, I'm excited.
Oh, it's going to be good. But to start out, guys, here's our first section, which, once again, we're going to do a cryptid. We're going to do a monster. This one is the Mongolian Death Worm. Spooky stuff.
The world is full of mysterious creatures that are both extraordinary and terrifying. But are humans aware of all of them?
I am.
Enter the cryptid. History is littered with strange creatures which exist just outside human understanding, remaining undiscovered by science. Most inhabit extremely isolated areas, are scarce and reclusive, and are almost always threatening.
Yeah, I mean, they got to be threatening, right? Because, I did discuss this before once, but if it's just like a fluffy bunny, not threatening. Who gives a shit? If it's like a giant lizard from space that could eat you, I'm kind of in. But does he have any other tasks? What else can this lizard from space do? Tell me, Ryan.
I hope it's not here to, lay its eggs in our butts. That's what I hope. I hope that's not a thing.
I was hoping that you would come up with something and we get laying eggs in our butts.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Well, I mean, it makes, it would be like a little incubator for them, and, it would be some scary stuff.
I'm trying to think of a way that I can spin this so it's not butt rape, but I'm pretty sure that's where you're going with it.
I don't know. I don't think they rape as much as they just sort of plant the egg there, and they place it there.
Let's say through the nostrils.
Through the nostrils.
There we go. All right. It goes all the way down to the butt.
All the way down to the butt.
All right. That's how we're going to bail you out of
That's
that
how it works. That's how it works. One such creature is the Mongolian Death Worm, a cryptid that supposedly exists in the vast Gobi Desert of Mongolia.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Despite the numerous...
I mean, it's not called the Cleveland Death Worm.
No, it's not.
Yeah. Oh, well.
So it's not in Cleveland.
Yep. Well, that was all right. Yeah. All right.
It's Mongolian.
That was the point. You got my stapler.
Apparently, evidently, I have your stapler. Despite the numerous expeditions and investigations conducted by everyone from academics to amateurs, there remains no concrete evidence to support the existence of this elusive creature. So, what is the Mongolian Death Worm, and why do people think it just might exist? In the vast, uninhabited wilderness of the Gobi Desert, stories have emerged over the years of something straight out of a nightmare. Dangerous, aggressive, and easily capable of killing a grown man with its venom.
Strangely, a ungrown man can get away.
Yes.
Short people.
He's like, I missed.
Ha!
Went right over him. If only he was grown.
It was possible that I'm just referring. So anyone who is a little person, you are safe, apparently.
Yes.
I actually have no idea, so don't.
I am a hobbit.
I don't want anyone to go there and just be like, "This guy said I was safe," and then I get sued. That'd be awful. So never mind.
Yes.
I cannot guarantee that, despite your size of any large, that you can't be killed. I'm not an expert.
Mongolian death worms. I don't think. I do not think they care. I think they will eat you dead.
Num 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 num. People flesh.
For this is the Mongolian death worm.
Mongolian Death Worm.
Whatever other doubts may exist about this strange creature, the locals are adamant that it is real, calling it Algoi Korkoi, which in Mongolian means large intestine worm. Its ominous name hints at its dangerous nature.
Gross.
According to
Actually, it really doesn't, because that sentence, its ominous name, what is it? Say it again.
That would be large intestine worm.
No, not that part.
The Algoi Korkoi?
All I'm saying is the ominous nature of its name being an intestinal worm does not hint at anything, because this worm doesn't go in your intestines. It's named after that because it kind of looks like an intestine does when it's full of bloody meat. That's all I was trying to say, Ryan. Jesus.
It is the person's trying to be, whoever wrote this was trying to be cheeky. I think they were trying to be a little
Well, a lot of people wrote this. This is information from 15 websites.
This works for me. According to locals, the Mongolian death worm is very dangerous and can kill in many ways. The locals fear the worm.
But what kind of killing? Kindness? Is that one of the ways? Can we get a worm just comes up, gives you a hug, and you think, you're like, oh, this is weird, but it's not bad. But then he never lets go, Ryan. He never lets go. It's like when you visit your grandma. You just can't get away.
It's like he gives you a nice present, and you open it and you're just like, aw, and then that. Then you just fall over and die.
Like, oh my God, this is the same toy I had when I was 5 the night thank you, that's so like,
and he's dead.
Mongolian death worms.
Well, now Joe's dead.
Aw.
That was an old segment. We haven't done that in a while.
No one's died that it felt like talking about.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. The locals fear the worm and take care to avoid anywhere they fear it may be hiding. According to some accounts, the worm can even spit a stream of deadly poison toward the victim, which paralyzes the victim and inevitably leads to death.
Inevitably.
It is red, like an intestine filled with blood.
Boom! Told you that earlier.
Artistic.
Not like I put these together. The notes.
No, Joe, you knew this before. You know of all things wormy. Artistic illustrations depict the worm with a gaping round mouth filled with inward pointing teeth. Some describe it as having a spiky, pointed end and gift it with the ability to spray deadly burning acid at a target. The death worms will reportedly shoot up from beneath the sand without warning to kill its food, camels and rodents, but unwary humans can be prey as well.
Yeah, that's just horrifying, man. Just things popping out of the sand like like a fish would. Just like, blah, and you're like, oh my God. Oh, you don't have enough problems in the desert. You don't have water. We're not naturally meant to live, in that environment. People have discovered how, thank God. But someone like us, we're going to die.
Yeah, we're going to die.
Then you just see this little thing just pop out and come. It's like, land piranha.
It's like, what? How did it get worse?
Yes.
How did this get, yeah, that's one of those moments where it's like, oh, well, we're fucking stuck in the desert, Joe. Can't get any worse.
Well, you haven't heard about the Mongolian death worm.
Mongolian.
It spits out venom and it could kill you and paralyze you. Or apparently it can spit acid out. Yeah, that's another thing. And you know what? We haven't talked about it yet, but it also has electricity powers. The damn thing is like Storm from X-Men. What are you going to do? You know what happens when you get struck by lightning? The same thing that happens to everything else.
I feel like I'm fighting a creature from Zelda.
Dun, dun, dun. Mongolian death worm. It pops out, it explodes, and it gets its goo on you. Gonna eat you. It's about 2 feet to 5 feet. It's red like a bloody intestine, and it only lives in the desert, and it's kind of a dick.
It's so a dick. This couldn't get any worse. This couldn't get any worse.
Yeah, it would be rough. I don't know, something, because everyone talks about how under the water is scary because it's just a whole different world that we don't know about. And I totally agree. But under the ground's kind of the same thing. Like a creature that's completely subterranean and then pops up because we don't live there. So the idea of something just coming out of the ground is be like, motherfucker. And you're like, oh,
Dude,
Jesus.
Something about worms with teeth and shit that's like, it's gross and terrifying.
I will say the inward needle teeth kind of totally describes how the worms from the new Dune movie look.
Oh, I'll bet.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I still, the first one was great. I haven't seen the second one yet.
Oh, well, good. You know what's funny is in its second weekend, it only did a 42% drop. And that is an amazing thing because most movies, if you have like a 50 or 60% drop, that's kind of normal. If you have anything more than that, people are worried because you're like, oh, your movie might be tanking. But this stayed very consistent. And I think it's because everyone wants to see the movie in IMAX, right? There's only so many IMAX theaters. So if you really wanted to see it in IMAX and you couldn't get tickets, then you're like, fuck, well, we'll see it next weekend. So
Yeah.
I think that's why it's got a consistent number because it made something 80 something million in its first weekend, which is almost, I'm pretty sure, double the original film's
Okay.
box office.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, the original's sucked.
Well, the original, I'm talking about the original, the Dune Part 1 that came out in 2020. But that was a day and date release because Warner Brothers, for some reason that year, decided to release every film straight to streaming, which is funny because like Legendary, which is the company that financed Dune, they basically paid for this movie and then Warner Brothers is just like, we're giving it away for free. So they took a huge financial hit and were almost like completely fucked. There was other companies that got screwed by this whole thing too. And that was back I think when it was I don't know, excuse me, it was before David Zaslav and Discovery bought Warner Brothers. So obviously that era is over. But long story short, Dune 2 is doing pretty well. You should go see it.
Oh, I want to see it really bad. And I think everybody wants the popcorn bucket that is shaped like that. And I believe the internet has made many references on what they will do with it.
Yes, it does. It does look like it would be fun to have a sexual encounter with. But they know exactly what they're doing at AMC because they have a Ghostbuster popcorn bucket. You know what it is?
What?
It's fucking open-mouthed, like, with O-face Slimer.
No way.
Yeah, it's like,
oh no.
Yeah, so
yeah,
somebody at AMC knows exactly what they're doing because here's the thing. You're talking about it. And you're not the only one. Those things, most people sold out in like 2 hours. And I went on eBay, $70-$80 if you want to buy a popcorn bucket.
And that's what I'm saying is, and everybody's trying to make content now. Like everyone's trying to be an influencer. So it's like, you have to be with every trend. So every little trend that comes, so everybody had to have that Dune bucket because it became a joke. It became like a meme.
That's kind of my point, and I feel like it is a very, very smart marketing person.
It is
at AMC, just like, all right, what's the next vaguely sexual thing we could do with a popcorn?
It's brilliant.
Bucket?
And that what was the last one that I remember the bucket for Avengers Endgame was really cool or whatever. It had like all the designs on it and stuff. I remember getting that. And the joke was that you would need it to urinate because the film was over 3 hours long.
Yeah. You know what I liked is the Ghostbuster bucket for the first, not the first Ghostbusters, the first of the new Ghostbusters. What was that, Afterlife? It is a machine. It is the actual car.
Oh, wow. Joe's got it right here. It's sweet.
Yeah. It is. I loved that one. And that I remember it was like $30-$40. And it's obviously, a popcorn bucket. So the wheels don't move, stuff like that. It's just basically a plastic case that pops open. But I thought that was a cool one. So
I always wondered.
The very sexual designer of these popcorn buckets apparently did not work when that film came out.
Well, and I mean, so I mean they they're gonna have toys and stuff. So they're gonna be able to make some money off of a lot of stuff from this movie, I have a feeling.
Totally.
But
speaking of worms that might actually exist on our planet, which actually that was a terrible segue. But anyways, back to Mongolian Death Worm.
Merchandising. The legend says that the Olgoi Korkoi originally laid its eggs in the intestines of a camel and thus acquired its blood red color.
I mean, sure, yeah.
Mongolian nomads believe the giant worm covers its prey with an acidic substance that turns everything a corroded yellow color.
That's gross. But that, you know what else that is?
It's pee.
Physical evidence.
It's pee.
No, but that's physical evidence. If it turned into a corroded, just scrape that stuff off. Let's get some scientists. They say they've never found the worm, right? But have they found this corroded yellow glue? I'm going to call it gloob. Did they found the yellow gloob, Ryan?
Yes. Yeah, Joe, were you sprayed by the worm?
No.
No?
No.
Who was?
This guy, Jim.
Jim, is he alive?
No.
All right, bring him over here. I need to scrape some off.
The gloob.
Must scrape it off.
I'm just saying, is that physical evidence out there? You know what I mean? Or is that just something they say? Do you know? Is it a story where they're like, hey, no, it has this corroded yellow thing? Or was somebody smart? Was there like a little Egon Spangler among those Mongolians? Like
somebody blows their nose
I
and
study
you want to
moles or mold. Yeah. I'm just saying.
Legend says that as the creature begins to attack, it raises half its body out of the sand and starts to inflate until it explodes.
Yep.
Releasing the lethal poison all over the unfortunate victim. The poison is so venomous that the prey dies instantly. Livestock and humans are supposed to be its main prey.
I just think that's funny. I mean, can you just imagine like something popping next to you and you're just like, you fall over. Like, oh God, these little worms are popping out, just popping, exploding.
Instant death.
It feels very much like a Fallout enemy. Like
it does. Yeah, like you shoot it, but you got to run away from it because it's going to explode.
Yeah. Or Final Fantasy, there's this weird little fireball character that if you hit so many times, it'll explode, but you have to kill it before that happens because if it explodes, it's a lot more damage.
And I think like with Halo, with the flood, yeah, it's been overused.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, so this is not a new thing.
Yeah. It's definitely like, because it's called like an area effect damage kind of thing.
Ah.
Anyways.
Mongolian Death Worm.
Mongolian Death Worm. Many locals are convinced of the existence of the mysterious creature. Even the Mongolian Prime Minister, Dam Din Baz,
just
the Prime Minister.
The Prime Minister
described I can't pronounce that name.
It's fine. It's fine. You're not trying to be disrespectful.
Death worm to a Western explorer in 1922. Skeptics largely suspect that the tales of the killer worm are folklore only. Second-hand reports are very descriptive and uniform, but as of yet, none of the accounts have ever been confirmed. So,
allegedly.
I guess they haven't been able to scrape off any yellow stuff just yet. Many independent researchers, adventurers, and zoologists have searched the farthest reaches of the Gobi Desert to spot the infamous death worm, but none have succeeded in seeing it, let alone photographing it. The history of the death worm has been passed down in Mongolia for generations, but only came to the attention of the Western world in the 1920s after paleontologist Roy Chapman Andrews' book described the lore in detail. Andrew himself remained skeptical of its existence.
But apparently had enough information to catalog it in a book.
So I like his style, kind of like us. So he was just like, "Hey, I heard this cool story." You know, that's how we do. First described to the American paleontologist Roy Chapman Andrews in 1922 by the Prime Minister of Mongolia, the death worm is said to resemble a large fat worm with the length of about 2 to 5 feet. It reportedly has a bright red coloration, crocodile-like skin, and venom that can kill a person instantly.
And magic lightning powers.
Additionally, the creature can generate electricity.
Damn right. I know you thought I was fucking with you. That is a real thing the worm can do. It can zap your ass. There's Pikachus under the ground, Ryan. Pikachus.
It's not cute at all like a Pikachu, though. I give it back. So many people believe that this creature inhabits the Gobi Desert, an area infamous for its harsh climate conditions and relentless sandstorms, and conveniently a place that has large areas that people largely don't spend a huge amount of time exploring because fuck that.
Well, that's a stupid statement, right? They're like cryptids hide in places without humans. Yeah, Because if
shit.
they were downtown, they wouldn't be cryptids. They would be like, oh, look, a bunny.
Like, yeah. It's like, oh, look, a Mongolian death worm.
Exactly. I mean, that's stupid. That's stupid. They're hiding. Well, I mean, maybe not, but yeah, you're right. They don't live next door.
I'm okay with.
Jackass.
Can I tell you what? I'm glad they hide. They can stay hiding. That's okay.
Yeah, and if you go into the desert, you'll be walking.
Well, you won't find me in a desert, Joe. I really don't plan on it, but I mean, maybe.
Oh, don't tempt fate, man. There'll be some weird scenario that somehow you end up in the weird, like, middle of the African desert, and you're gonna have to remember some Bear Grylls things to survive, and you're gonna have to drink your own pee.
I was about to say, I don't know if drinking my own pee is gonna get me away from a Mongolian death worm.
Every episode, drink your own pee. That is how you survive. You eat bugs and you drink your own pee.
It's absolutely disgusting.
This is straight from the, what was it? The what channel was it from? The Science Channel?
I want to say that was
Travel
either
Channel?
Travel or History. It was one of the two.
I don't think it was History, right? Maybe it was Animal. There's no animals involved. Discovery? I don't know, but
I think you might be right on Travel.
Just drink pee and eat bugs.
And I remember he would kill a snake and like skin the snake somehow. He knew how to pull the innards out, and he would literally use it as a flask for his pee. So not only is he drinking out of a hollowed out fucking snake, but it's his pee in the hollowed out snake that he was drinking. It was disgusting.
To be fair, he was telling you how to survive, and that guy is still alive. So clearly he can survive. The crocodile hunter, he's dead.
Rest in peace.
And I love Steve Irwin, but didn't you kind of wish that he was killed by a crocodile? It's like, because like, I don't want him dead. I love Steve Irwin. This is no disrespect to the man, the Australian zoo.
We know.
Anything like
everybody
that.
loves him.
But that being said, crocodile hunter killed by a crocodile is like the Segway inventor falling off a cliff on a Segway, which did happen.
Yes.
So I'm just saying.
Someone did a bit, one comedian, where he was just like, someone's like, man, can you believe the crocodile hunter died? Yeah. Yeah, I can.
Yeah, that was funny.
Andrews himself never saw the Mongolian death worm, but the Mongolian officials all corroborated the story.
I didn't see it. Yep, you're right. He did. Do you think that's what they meant?
They all believed it, but he didn't see it.
I know.
Yeah. Interestingly, these Mongolian officials who shared the legend with the author had also not seen the worm. However, they were able to provide a very detailed description of the worm-like animal. We did not see it, but this is exactly what it looks like.
Its name is Jaros. It has one eye.
I don't know why they became Indian. Check cryptozoologist.
We should say Simpsons version of Indian. But
yeah. Well, yeah, us doing our terrible accents, but hey, we're entertainers here. It's for entertainment. Czech cryptozoologist Ivan, whatever, is credited as being the foremost investigator of the death worm.
Hold on.
So I'm going to try it again. Macquarie.
Don't say Ivan
Mackerel?
whatever.
So mackerel. So it's mackerel.
Yeah. All right. So yeah.
Ivan Mackerel, the foremost investigator of the death worm. He learned of the worm from a student and made the trip to southern Mongolia in 1990 to uncover more. His investigations were difficult, as he found many Mongolians were loath to speak of the legendary beast. Making it more complicated was an order by the Mongolian government outlawing searches for the death worm. Eventually, the ban fell, and Mackerel was able to search for answers.
Yeah, like the government was straight up like, you cannot look for this death worm. You know, so he literally had to wait until the law changed. Isn't that weird?
I don't want to piss off a bunch of Mongolians.
But I'm just saying, it's funny as hell to think that it's like we believe in this enough that you cannot go look for it. Like, no, it is against the law.
I mean, I can see that makes sense.
Could you imagine if Michigan said you can't look for Bigfoot? You cannot go in the woods look for Bigfoot. It is against the law.
That's so weird. I don't know because, like, yeah, like I think that would be the weirdest like trial bill whatever
Why?
thing. Like, yeah,
It'd
it
be
would
like,
be.
Is Bigfoot real? Why can't we look for Bigfoot?
See, and that's the problem, right? Like, yeah, once you do something like that, that's when people will be like, now wait a minute.
Yeah.
Like, because once you're told not to do something, that's
Like-
when you're like, well, I'm gonna go fucking look for Bigfoot.
I my whole life wanted to look for Bigfoot. This was my plan.
I never knew that I did, but I do.
Yeah, but you tell me. You tell me I can't look. No, I'm gonna look for Bigfoot every fucking day.
This is America. This is America.
Yeah, we
I'm
do.
gonna look for Bigfoot. But yeah, over in Mongolia, things are a little different. Little different. So, I digress. He never witnessed it himself, but Ivan Mackerel eventually determined the Olgoi Korkoi could be real.
You know, every one of these things are like, they didn't see it, they didn't see it, they didn't see it. And you want to be kind of like, joking, like, well, clearly, it doesn't exist. No one's seen it. But that's the point. It's a cryptid. If people had seen it a lot, if there was, that it wouldn't be a cryptid if we had proof, is all I'm saying.
I mean, as far as cryptids
It would just be an
go-
animal.
right, as far as cryptids go, this sounds plausible, right? Like, there's all kind. Worms are crazy. They live in so many different environments. There's so many different kinds, and we're constantly finding new ones all the time.
I mean,
so...
it's like the ocean, like we said earlier. Of course, underground there could be all kinds of creatures we don't know about because they don't come up very much. They're underground.
I just read something like
They're like garage band rappers.
Ah, I like it. No, I was just reading that just last year that we're still finding, like, in the rainforest, the Amazon, shit like that. We're still finding new bugs.
Well, even on our show, there
plants.
was the Harrison 40 that was a snake or
Yep.
something.
Yep.
And then a Venom. Venom got one,
Yep.
a spider
Yep.
named after it.
And Forrest Gallant, he found a turtle that he had been looking for.
And he named it Mitch McConnell.
Yes. And bazoom. Anyways, nobody is entirely sure what the worm actually is. Experts are certain it is not a real worm because the Gobi Desert is too hot an area for it to survive.
Yeah, we have organisms that live near volcanic vents under the ocean, but yeah, that's too hot in the desert.
But the Mongolian people are convinced of the death worm's existence. Regardless, it will take more years of research to satisfy the world of the world scientific community on this. In 2005, an expedition from the Center for 14 Zoology crossed 1,000 miles of the Gobi on the track of the death worm. They concluded it was probably a large, unknown type of worm lizard, and that
like a legless lizard is what they're saying.
That makes sense. Yeah. And that the powers attributed to it were a myth, concluding the Mongolian death worm is simply a mythological creature when it comes to, like, all the spitting acid and shit.
Oh, or the electricity power.
And the electricity.
Yeah. Mongolian death worm, use thunder shock.
But I don't know. Like in a lot of video games, when you're in the desert, usually all those things are electrified. Like in like Zelda and stuff like that. Like, so I'm just saying.
Okay, that's a weird take. That's a weird take.
Just saying.
But in a more reality take, there are electric eels that generate electricity. It is a real thing.
And those are underwater.
Well, I'm just saying that's a real thing. That's an animal that generates electricity.
And yeah, there are animals on land, I believe, that can generate like a shock like that too. I can't think off the top of my head, but I swear to God I've heard of them.
I didn't mention it because I haven't, but continue.
So, of course, not all the characteristics of the worm lizard or sand boa are a perfect
I like that.
match.
The sand boa.
For the death worm, for example, terrestrial snakes can't deliver lethal electric shocks. And for that matter, several venomous snakes, primarily cobras and vipers, can spit poison, which, although not acidic, can certainly cause harm and blindness. Yet, these reputed characteristics are based not on hard data, but myths and stories. It says
Once again, we got no proof. We got no yellow corrosive goo on the rock to tell you.
No one to scrape.
Yeah.
No one to scrape. It is, of course, possible that the Mongolian death worms exist. Of course, there would have to be more than one of them to sustain what biologists call a breeding population, likely tens or hundreds of thousands of them.
Yeah, which is why the Loch Ness Monster is always funny. It's like, all right, so we've only seen one at a time, and it's like, what? So has it been alive for 100 years or 1,000 years when that? Yeah, I'm just saying. So that one is kind of questionable. I have some theories on that, but we'll talk about that at a different time. Just saying, there being plenty of them. Yeah, that makes sense.
Well,
Why would
and-
there
yeah.
just be one worm out there?
And it would make sense that we wouldn't, like we said earlier, well, you're not gonna just see a Mongolian death worm strolling down the street, so you're not gonna be in the desert. You're not gonna see them. So if that's where they live, yeah. So stay the f out of the desert in Mongolia, because I wouldn't chance it. I wouldn't chance it.
That's right, because perhaps next week, next month, or next year, such a bizarre creature will be found and examined by scientists. But until then, we wait.
And wait, we shall. I will wait for some other psycho to go out there and look for this crazy death worm. I'm good.
Mongolian Death Worm. It is kind of crazy. I mean, obviously, but it is fun to think about because, like, you're in the middle of the desert, you're walking, right?
I don't find it fun to think about.
There's
It's scary.
there's like these creatures almost like piranhas. You can't see where they're coming from, and suddenly just the sand around you moves, and then they pop up, and some of them apparently will like make a sound and then pop, and then if that goo gets on you, you die. It's it'll either blind you and poison you and paralyze you, or it'll be corrosive acid and you could die. Also, they can jump out and bite you, which they made it sound, or electrocute you. So I think like desert piranhas is kind of a good I mean, that's pretty cool, man. I mean, scary as hell, but Mongolian Death Worm, it's inspired a lot of things. There's actually a movie called The Mongolian Death Worm. Like they didn't even try to like make a monster movie. They were just like, no, this is Mongolian Death Worm. You know, speaking of which, the Loveland Frog that we talked about like a few weeks ago,
Yeah.
a movie just came out for that.
No shit.
Yeah.
I could go the rest of my life without getting bitten by any worm and be happy. Like that would be so gross to get bit by a worm.
You know,
Like,
what'd be grosser, a worm living inside you, like a tapeworm,
Yeah,
or like a worm in your brain.
parasites are fucking terrifying.
Oh my
too.
god.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I hate parasites.
If
I hate that thought.
Yeah, if I could go my whole life with never having to experience another organism feeding off me from the inside, that'd be fantastic.
When I was a kid, after I heard about like the thing that swims up your dick when you pee,
The Amazon
yeah,
fish.
it scared me so much that I wouldn't even pee like in a lake if I was like.
Well, you
swimming
were a
in
Boy
lake.
Scout, so that makes sense. You're out in
Yeah.
a lake and you're like, I know that I'm not in the Amazon, but there still might be a tiny fish who swims into my urethra and shoots out barbs.
And to be fair, I'm just very capable of just creeping myself out. Like I could be swimming in a lake and then I could just think about like Jaws and I could be like, I think I'm gonna get out now.
Oh man, I saw Jaws way too early, and I did get freaked out in pools and stuff. And it's
Yeah.
like it's so irrational because it's just like, okay, one, an animal couldn't like survive in pool water, obviously. Two,
Right.
you can see through the water, and
Right.
clearly there isn't an animal. And then three, how would it get in there? So it's such an irrational fear.
Well, and that movie was pretty dated for us, but when we were kids, like it still was like scary and impressive, right? But like, can you imagine?
Rated PG.
So when that came out for our parents, you imagine like how that must have looked real as fuck to them because they'd never seen nothing like that had ever been done.
Well, let me tell you, the graphics on the Mongolian Death Worm movie, Jaws is better. So,
But still, like I saw this video of these things, and they've got these fucking jaws like this, dude, and they like come up. That's how they look, dude. They're scary. I hate
what are you talking about?
these worms with these teeth.
Oh, we're back to worms. That's good.
Dude. I'm just saying, it's
Yeah,
worms with teeth are fucking gross and scary.
And scary.
I don't want to get bit by one.
I don't want to get bit by worms either. Name of this episode: I've got worms.
Please don't bite me.
Earthling Entertainment special report! So, it turns out that James Gunn's Peacemaker Season 1 is not going to be canon to the new DC universe. That's right, and Season 2 apparently is going to take place after the new Superman movie coming out next year. So, you heard it first at Earthling Entertainment special report. Ah! Ryan's Disclosure Discussion.
That was
You
silly.
are a treasure, Joe. Aliens found in Peru are actually dolls made of bones, forensic experts declare.
Oh man, I wish we had the what that we used to have.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I
Yeah.
missed the what.
All right. Instead, we'll do this. That's not. The
Yeah,
same.
not as good.
All right.
Not as good. Aliens have not been discovered in South America after all. The doll-like figures, photos of which went viral online last year, are just that, dolls, according to scientists.
They were saying they were aliens, the alien bodies, right?
They were really selling it. I remember it was like for about a straight week. That's like all I was seeing on all my feeds.
All right. So, according to scientists, dolls.
The controversial artifacts were seized by Peruvian custom agents in October and intended for a Mexican citizen, the Associated Press has reported. Mexican journalist and self-described ufologist Jamie Musan
Self-described. Like no one else calls him this apparently, but he does.
brought similar unidentified fraudulent objects in front of the Mexican Congress last September, claiming that they had been recovered near Peru's ancient Nazca lines and dated over 700 years old.
To be clear, if we did find a mummy of an alien near that area, that would be astounding. And I wanted to believe it, but the pictures were not convincing.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all. Like it was bad. It was a bad. It looked like it was made of clay.
It kind of looked like you got like a third grade class, and you're like, all right, everybody make paper mache aliens, and the best one I'm gonna take to Congress.
Like, yeah, I've got a picture me and Joe are looking at. It's sad.
Well, I mean, even if you think that, okay, that could be a mummified alien, it doesn't look natural. Like the skin doesn't look like it's dried up over bones or anything. It looks like someone was trying to do ET off memory, maybe.
That's a good way to describe it.
Yeah.
That's a good way to describe it. Musan went in front of the Mexican Congress again in November with a team of doctors confirming the bodies were once living organisms. None of the science.
That just means there was DNA in there.
Yeah, he pieced them together like weird taxidermy.
Yeah.
None of the scientists say the study results prove that they are extraterrestrials, but I go further, Musan said, per Reuters. Experts with Peru's prosecutor's office analyzed the seized dolls, and forensic archaeologist Flavio Estrada presented the results at their findings at a press conference for Peruvian Ministry of Culture on Friday. They are not extraterrestrials.
They don't look anything like extraterrestrials.
They are not intraterrestrials. They are not a new species. They are not hybrids. They are none of those things that this group of pseudoscientists who for 6 years have been presenting with these elements, Estrada said.
This is basically folk art.
The humanoid three-fingered dolls consisted of earthbound animal and human bones assembled with modern synthetic glue, Estrada elaborated.
Okay, so can we talk about the fact that, why did he have human bones? No, like, hold on. You put this fucking doll together with animal and human bones.
He might be in trouble.
Where did he get human bones?
He might be in trouble for that. I'll bet you he didn't think about that.
I'm just saying.
It isn't the first time Musan had an otherworldly corpse debunked. He made similar claims in 2017.
No, guys, this one's real.
I know I was lying in the last one, but I swear would you believe I actually did find one?
I mean, like, think of the luck, right? You get busted for embezzling, but then, listen, I have a great opportunity that you can fucking finance.
Like, dude, like the boy who cried alien, basically.
This one, you know what's funny? If I was an alien and I was, like, monitoring Earth's news, I totally would visit that guy now.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Our cultures of the past made Machu Picchu. Our cultures of the past made the Nazca lines. They didn't need any alien help to do it.
Well, yeah, Nazca lines aren't hard to make. It's like you just move the layer of soil, and then right below it is a darker layer, and it makes a line. But the thing is, they're straight for miles. There are shapes and things that you couldn't recognize unless from the sky. I'm not saying it wasn't humans. I'm just saying, why are you drawing a picture that only freaking aliens can see?
Yeah, from the sky. It's so weird, right there. That stuff is odd, like the giant ant and stuff
Exactly.
like that.
Well, what are you making that for? You making for Jim so he could check his app on his hike to make sure, oh, look, I made a spider. No, they didn't have that. So, I guess maybe they had some kind of balloon and they're like, hey, maybe this is their version of Disneyland. And in the ancient past, they go up in a balloon. And they're like, look, pictures. But I don't think so, because I'm pretty sure we didn't find any giant balloon like artifacts. So
I know, but you also, it makes you wonder, like, if people back then were really as dumb and like as we all are told. Like, I think past people
But
were
see,
a lot.
I don't think they were dumb. They just didn't have the same technology. That doesn't mean they were dumb.
Well, yeah, I guess I meant like
Some people
I
were
guess
dumb.
I meant more like capable. Like they were like they were able to do these things, and with God knows what. Like we don't know.
It was one guy over the course of a weekend. He took speed and had a shovel and said, I'm going to finally use my uncle's time travel machine he told me about. Next thing you know, Nazca Lines created by Gary,
The tweaker.
the tweaker. With a time machine, you question if he could do it in a weekend, but with a time machine, you could. It took him his whole life, but he did it in a weekend.
with enough tweaking.
Gary.
Gary
No,
would
hold
get it
on,
done.
hold on. Wait.
Gary, time tweaker.
Coming.
I was
this
gonna
fall.
say that I heard it already got greenlit for a second season.
Gary the time tweaker. All right, continue.
Those who have promoted that have an economic interest, some other kind of interest, Estrada said.
I have a
Saying-
sexual interest.
Right, saying, so this guy's like super debunker. So
Yeah,
I'm just reading.
apparently,
Yeah, apparently. What we have presented here is science, not pseudoscience. So he obviously doesn't believe in aliens at all.
No, he said this is real. This is a real alien corpse. It's glued together. It like we can tell you the chemical compound is Elmer's glue. You use the picture of the cow. Like this is not legit.
Yep,
It's a real alien.
it's real.
I think it's real.
The aliens like our cows. That's why they they use it as a timestamp. Like, yep,
They do.
we were here.
They do.
We were here.
Okay, guys, and with that, we're jumping in. Well, I should say we're jumping back in
Yes.
to our worm conversation.
Worms.
So now we're in the entertainment part of Earthling Entertainment. So we're done with the spooky stuff in the disclosure discussion for this week, and we are getting into I've Got Worms, like films such as Tremors. And that's what I'm going to start with. So we got Tremors. We have, Beetlejuice has the sandworms.
Of course.
Obviously, Dune came out, which is what inspired this episode. That's why it's We Got Worms, because the new Dune. And so I want to start with you, Ryan. What a monster film, underground worm film is kind of like, what calls to you? Because personally, I love one in particular, and I'm just curious if we're on the same page.
It's just the first Tremors. The other ones were a fun ride, but just the first one really to me is like it's an actually I find it to be like one of my classic horror movies. I love it.
I believe that was 1990 that the first Tremors came out. It, of course, stars Kevin Bacon and Fred Ward, as well as Michael Gross and Reba McEntire, of all people.
But the sandworm from Beetlejuice is a classic. So it's hard to pick, but I guess when it comes to both films, I probably watch Beetlejuice more.
Well, the Sandworm in Beetlejuice was kind of interesting because it obviously had the Tim Burton aesthetic because it was black and white, and then it
Yes.
had kind of like the lipstick color. But it did take a bit from Alien because if you remember right, when it opened its mouth, there was another head in there.
Yeah.
And then obviously Dune, the book, was written in 1965. So you could assume Tim Burton was inspired by many things when it comes to those sandworms. If you remember right, they did appear to be on a different planet, and the sandworms were diving up and down through the sand like a Mongolian Death Worm or the great worms of Arrakis. Just saying.
I always assumed it was like Mars, I think, when I was younger.
It did look a little bit like Mars, which is funny because that connects to my obvious favorite, and that is, once again, Tremors. And while I agree with you, the first film is a classic horror film, strap in, bud, because the sequels are such a ride.
I've watched most of them.
Okay, well, let's go. 1996. This is about 5 or 6 years after the first Tremors.
He's doing this from memory.
We
people.
have Tremors 2 Aftershocks. Once again, Fred Ward comes back and he is our lead. Kevin Bacon, I don't know why, but did not return. But that gave us room for Michael Gross to come back as a much larger character. Those who don't know, I believe he played the dad in All in the Family or another family sitcom from the 80s, but that was his big claim to fame until the Tremors series, which he eventually becomes the major protagonist of. Now, jump to Tremors 2 Aftershocks. Now we find out that, there's Tremors again. They weren't just confined to the valley where their first film was. No, now they are in Mexico, and we have to take care of them. So, what do? We call characters from the first film to come down and hunt. Now, none of them really wanted to. They were persuaded by money. They go down. They start hunting Tremors. It makes sense because all the tropes of the first movie are there. Sound makes them hunt. All those other things. So what do? They get remote control cars and they add dynamite to them
I didn't see this.
in order to drive them around to attract the Tremors, and they hunt. Now we have a problem. There's strange sounds at night. Wails of the Tremors are screaming. They're screaming at night, Ryan. What could be happening? Fred Ward and his new character, his name Grady, I don't know the actor, go and they find a tremor in the morning that has been ripped apart. It is destroyed. Guts everywhere. And what has happened? But they notice 4 different sacks that have been bursted out. And whoa, what's going on? So we go out through the mess of the movie and we find out that the Tremors have mutated into a smaller worm with 2 legs. They kind of look like, honestly, the Mousers from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. If you don't understand that, maybe like a chicken shape.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, now these things are acting different. They are not attracted by sound. They are, in fact, attracted to heat. And they have a heat sensor. So eventually we destroy them. I don't want to talk more about the movie. The next movie. Hold on.
Oh, no.
This is what I believe the Sci-Fi Channel bought the rights to Tremors. We got the third movie, which is called Tremors 3 Back to Perfection.
Isn't this the one with ass blasters?
This is the one with ass blasters.
I know this one.
All right. So
Sort of.
Tremors 3 Back to Perfection. Fred Ward did not return, either the guy who played Grady. But we have Michael Gross, who takes the royal throne of the Tremors series as the main character. He goes, like it says, back to perfection, which is the town of the first film. Not only do we have him, but almost all the returning characters from that original 1990 classic. The young girl named Mindy, she's back. You might not know, but Mindy was the girl from the original Jurassic Park. That's right.
Crazy.
Yeah, one of the kids. Anyways, she's back.
I forgot that.
Her mom is back. And then we have a character to honor the characters who died in the first one. For instance, the shopkeeper who was killed and eaten by a graboid, which, by the way, the Tremors weren't named anything until was it the second film? Fuck.
I remember in the first one
they mentioned graboid. Oh, right. It was
him and
the Asian guy. He's the guy who named him, the guy I'm talking about right now.
Yeah,
the one who was eaten.
Kid.
Yeah. His daughter is there in the shop. All right. And the reason why, and this is fun, we went back to perfection is the Sci-Fi Channel was smart. They said, well, damn, if this thing hits, we could do a show. And there's one season, because obviously it didn't hit, of Tremors, the series. And most of our characters from that third film are back. Now, once again, that show didn't do that well. So, what do? We have a few years later is just like a death cry. It's just like a tip of the hat. Like let's go out with a weird bang. Let's have the last movie, and it'll be called Tremors 4. Dun 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 dun. Fuck, I forget the last name. Tremors 4. What was it? Tremors 4. Oh, Tremors 4, The Beginning. Now, what, is this too much?
No, I'm laughing because you got all from memory. Keep going, buddy.
All right, Tremors 4, once again, starring the amazing Michael Gross. Now, this, I believe, was in 2004, and it is a prequel film, and we are supposed to believe that in the 1800s, the first time the Tremors show up, And this is also the first time we see baby tremors. So they jump out of the ground and they
Aw.
bite. Yeah, it's kind of fun. It's kind of fun. You know what? We're going to backtrack, though. The Back to Perfection film, the number 3, that's when they introduce ass blasters.
Yeah.
So this is important. Sorry, guys. We'll go back to the fourth one in a sec. Number 3 is ass blasters. Now, ass blasters are the third creation of what a tremor is, because after it turns into the chicken type thing, which is known as a shrieker, it turns into an ass blaster by basically it eats a bunch and then it just once again transforms. Ass blasters can fly and they also can see, heat. So now these ass blasters launch out. One dies, they find a tremor egg in the ass blaster, which means this is the cycle of the graboid. It turns into it's an egg. It hatches, it's a worm. It's going around doing the worm thing. After a while, the worm will emerge from the ground, break open, and become shriekers, usually between 3 and 5. Those shriekers will metamorphosize eventually into what's known as an ass blaster, which is a longer version of a shrieker, but has the ability to have gaseous fumes ignited from its rear and launch itself into the sky, and then use gliding ability because it can't actually fly. It launches itself up and it glides down, and that brings the eggs, so it can move as far as possible, plant eggs, and make fucking tremor graboids everywhere else.
And infest the earth with sandworms.
Exactly. So, back to 4.
Oh boy.
Now, 4 is a cowboy one. And, that's all I really got to say. Michael Gross is back, and it is a prequel, and now we think the series is dead. Jump about, 10 years?
Yeah.
Let's say 11 years. And we have 2015's Tremors 5. Bloodlines. Michael Gross is back, and this time he is joined with Jamie Kennedy, and they are
That's
in
right.
Africa. Jamie Kennedy is his illegitimate son we didn't know
Yes.
about till right now. And in Africa, they have to fight the African tremors. Now, excuse me, graboids. I keep saying tremors because that's the name of the film. Now, this is a fun thing. This is almost like a soft reboot, because while everything that's happened previous was canonical, this is when the graboids changed their look. They definitely, all of them, they all look different from this point on. And it was just a director's choice, but it was, it was weird. And they said it was because these were the African versions of these graboids, which makes sense, right? Like a mountain lion in the United States doesn't look like a lion in the, in the jungle.
Makes sense.
Yeah, or savannah, excuse me. The point is, that was blown out of the water because a few years later we have Tremors, A Cold Day in Hell.
That was a good one.
And that is Tremors 6, by the way. And that is where they go to the Arctic. And there are tremors in the Arctic. Once again, Jamie Kennedy is there with Michael Gross, the king of the franchise. It's a good film.
I found that one to be like, out of all of them, it seemed most professionally done. I don't know why. I remember being
it
like,
was
wow.
probably one of the lower budgets, so it's funny that
But
you
it's
say
funny that I say that then, because I remember watching it and being like, wow, like that was actually like a good Tremors movie.
I mean, I thought it was a great Tremors movie. Well, the thing about that one is they tried to tie into the original by having a character who, her name was Valerie or something like that, and she was the daughter of Kevin Bacon's character
Yes.
and the female protagonist from the 1990 version. So a little bit of an Avengers in game for the Tremors series, if you will.
I liked it.
Yeah. All right, so then there was the last film that came out, and it was called Tremors, Shrieker Island. And I believe this came out in 2020 or 2021. It's the most recent one. And unfortunately, our main character, spoilers, Michael Gross, dies at the end of it. And Jamie Kennedy clearly was supposed to be in that movie, and for some reason couldn't be in that movie or didn't be in that movie because they wrote in a character for Napoleon Dynamite, John Heater. And he was clear.
Oh yeah, I remember.
It was weird because it was like, this is clearly supposed to be your son Travis. You know what I mean?
I remember though. It was a good one. That's
it was
right.
a good one because it took place on a tropical island and it was a new setting. But what I wanted to say is the Tremors changed from the 2015 5, 6, and 7. They were all the different Tremors. So saying that it was just because they were the African version was bullshit, because they were still different in the Arctic and still different on the tropical island.
Eh.
I forgot to mention that in 2018, there was a made-for-TV movie called Tremors where Kevin Bacon reprised his role as Valentine. For whatever reason, this did not get picked up. It was supposed to be a pilot for a TV show. You can find the trailer online. Once again, the Tremors took a complete creative change.
And that doesn't always work out.
Well, it doesn't matter. The show wasn't picked up. So, but like I said, the trailer's there. It also had the son from the show Weeds. It looked good. It looked like fun. But it believed they were doing what the 2018 Halloween did, which was ignoring all the other films. This would have been a direct sequel to the first film, which I'm not actually a huge fan of. I like the idea that everything that happens, which is why I respect the new Karate Kid film, because they were like, that remake with Jackie Chan totally happened in this universe, and now we're doing the sixth one. And I think Ghostbusters can do the same thing. All they have to do is mention once that the Melissa McCarthy film was a film in the Ghostbusters universe, and they were like, wasn't it weird when they made a movie about us but they cast a bunch of women? Yeah. Or something like that. You can connect the universes, or you could, I was gonna say multiverse, but then there's too many multiverse stuffs.
That just do another multiverse.
Multiverse.
Like it, time travel, multiverse.
Yeah, I mean, that is the thing. All right, so the reason why I brought this up, because that was 7 films.
Yes, it was.
All right. I've written an 8th.
Okay.
Yes, it's called Tremors 8. ATE. Yeah. So, since, let's be clear, this got real weird real quick. The first film of being giant worms under the ground that eat you, cool, but then we turned them into running around on the ground and then they could fly. So I figure let's just keep making them silly. In the first film, Fred Ward said, "No way, these are local boys. I have my money on aliens." What if it was true, Ryan?
Yep.
I'm going to do that. So, cut 2.
Like the origin story?
Cut 2. The first no, not the origin story. Not an origin story at all. This is Tremors 8.
Okay.
The astronauts are going to Mars, bud. They go to Mars and they find the pyramid of Mars and the face of Mars. And once they go in there, they see there are carvings like hieroglyphics all showing graboids. Graboids are the reason why that Mars was destroyed. Maybe it was created as a genetic weapon by the original aliens. Maybe it was a natural beast that just eventually destroyed the ecosystem and killed the native aliens. Either way, they are in alien mythology. Now these graboids.
That's good.
Yes.
That's good.
Now these graboids, how did they get to Earth, right? Well, we're going to speculate very easily. Meteor hits Earth. The fucking rock goes to Earth, and there's eggs on it. Very easily explained. Also,
well, yeah, one of the meteor hit Earth carrying its eggs the same way it would have landed on Mars.
Exactly. Now, here's the thing. Except they developed on Mars. This is my movie. You don't mess it up, Brian. You don't mess it up. All right. So, once again, we call Burt Gummer, because in my version, he is not dead. I mean, if I'm putting them on Mars, I might as well make him not dead. He comes to Mars, and he's like,
clone.
Why not? Well, alien resurrection, this thing.
Yep.
All right, we got to take out these worms because the U.S. government has put a lot of money in this space station. But think about it. There's less gravity on Mars, right? So now imagine a scene where Burt Gummer is in a crawler, right? And he's just driving through the desert towards a sandworm that, because of the less gravity on Mars, is able to jump from the Earth, float 10 feet in the air, and dive back in like a fish that just spawning upstream.
I can see
and
it.
They're just headed towards each other, and they're coming, and they're about to make contact. And then we cut to black, and it goes, Tremors 8.
Well done, Joe. I would see it. I feel like I just watched the trailer. Sounds good.
Anyways, go see Dune. All right, guys, we're going to take a few minutes to talk about the Oscars. It was a good show. It was a better show than there's been in years. I thought Jimmy Kimmel killed it. Some of the standouts, of course, were Cillian Murphy wins for Best Actor. No surprise there. Oppenheimer was the front runner, to say the least, and it also won Best Picture. So, once again, no surprise. Best Actress to Emma Stone, and that was a little, we assumed Emma Stone would have it, but I don't think she won SAG, so that kind of puts it all into question, right? And yeah, but she pulled it off. There are a lot of awards that go out in the Oscars that most people don't really care. They just want to hear about the big ones. I disagree with that. I think all of these matter. Like Best Original Song was Billie Eilish, and that was for What Was I Made For? Now, this is interesting because I believe Billie Eilish already won for, was it James Bond? But that makes her a two-time Oscar winner. At her age is crazy. And then we have, of course, Best Supporting Actress, which is Divine Joy Randolph for The Holdovers. Yeah, so that's awesome. We have the best animated feature was The Boy and the Huron, which makes perfect sense because that was a Miyazaki film. And let's be honest, if Miyazaki makes a movie, it's usually a pretty darn good movie. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, I think, would have been the only contender against it. But at the end of the day, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is a superhero film, and superhero films don't always get the love that they may deserve or may not, depending on who you talk to. There is Best Director, Christopher Nolan. Big deal. This is his first, believe it or not, his first Oscar, which I mean, that's mind-blowing that he hasn't had one since. Um, Best International feature, was The Zone of Interest. Best Supporting Actor was Robert Downey Jr. for Oppenheimer. And once again, I think this was his first Oscar. It's amazing with all the work that he's done and how long he's been around. And even before his fallout in the late 90s, before, he became Iron Man, when he was doing things like Chaplin, he's always been kind of a prestige actor. So that's a pretty big deal. Then we have Best Original Score went to Oppenheimer. Ludwig Göranssons. I apologize. I have never tried to read your name before. Best documentary feature was 20 Days in Mirabel. And I'm sorry. I need to know how to spell that one. Excuse me. Then we have Best Original Screenplay, Autonomy for the Fall, which is great. The guy's speech blew me away. I don't know if I agree with everything, but he really kind of went out there. I agree that we should spend less money on these films because if you make, instead of $200 million films, I think this was his quote, was instead of making one $200 million film, make 20 $10 million films. Still, very good sentiment. We have Best Adapted Screenplay went to American Fiction, which thank God it didn't go to Barbie. Everyone said, Barbie deserves some kind of award, but it was up for adapted screenplay, which was very stupid because Barbie was not adapted from anything. It was an action figure. You know what I mean? It's a toy line. It's not like they had a Barbie comics that started before this was a toy. So adapted screenplay, it even being nominated for that was a freaking joke. Best animated short is War is Over. Best live action short is The Wonderful Story of, I'm sorry, it's cut off here. That's sad. And then here's a big one. Best visual effects went to Godzilla. Yes, Godzilla -1. This is the prequel to the original Godzilla movie. It just came out. It had a budget of like $10 or $15 million, and it won best visual effects. I don't know if it deserved best visual effects for the simple fact that, it was up against like Guardians of the Galaxy. And you're going to tell me that some of those CGI animals were, not as good. Like a stampede of CGI animals is not as good as Godzilla. I don't know. But they wanted to give Godzilla an award. Godzilla's been around for about 70 years. And this is the first first Oscar he's gotten. And you know what? The Big Lizard deserved it in spiritual, but maybe a Lifetime Achievement Award, if I could be cheeky instead of just, visual effects. But, whatever. I thought it was a great movie. I was happy with it. I don't know if it deserved that particular award, but gung ho, whatever, blah. Best cinematography was Oppenheimer. Voight-Han Hotema. I really need to read these names before I try to read them on over this. Best documentary was The Last Repair Shop. Best costume design was Poor Things. That's the Emma Stone movie where she basically is like got a child mind, and it's Frankenstein. It's another telling of Frankenstein. Um, so this was presented by John Cena, costumes, and he came out with the bit where him and Jimmy Kimmel were apparently he was going to streak across the stage, which obviously was part of the bid. He wasn't really going to do that, but he acts shy about it, and then Jimmy Kimmel finally lets him out, and he comes out with this little paper covering his front area, and it says censored, and he walks up, and there's a weird pause, and he just takes a breath and looks and says, costumes, and suddenly it made sense. Oh, that's why it's a naked joke. Costumes are important. Ah, ha, ha, you cheeky guy. So that was fun. But Poor Things won that. Then we have Best Film Editing was Oppenheimer by Jennifer Lame. Then we have Best Makeup and Hair was Poor Things. Once again, that's what Emma Stone won for because she got Best Actress. And then Poor Things also won Best Production Design. And Best Sound was The Zone of Interest. And yeah, that kind of wraps up the awards. There's a lot of fun stuff. Ryan Gosling sung I'm Just a Ken, and all his backup dancers were the other Kens from the film, which is hilarious. Melissa McCarthy and Octavia Spencer did this great bit with Steven Spielberg, and apparently he knew nothing about the bit. He just is good on camera, so when they cut to him, he did his weird little gesture, and there you go. Ha ha. I think Al Pacino at the very end was trying to be funny, but came off a bit awkward. But that's, the man's in his 80s. And yeah, that's pretty much the wrap up of the Oscars. I love the Oscars. Seriously, can't wait for it every year. And even the bad shows. I like the bad shows. This one, I feel I didn't do what I usually do. So usually it's like Super Bowl Sunday for me and my wife and our friends, and we all like place bets on like who's gonna win what. We have like a card, and it's this fun big event, but haven't done that in a few years. I'd like to get back to LA and do that sometime soon. But yeah, that's our coverage of the Oscars. So hope you enjoyed that. Well, that'll be it for today's episode of Earthling Entertainment. Thank you very much for listening. We really appreciate it. Once again, if you like our show, I would ask you to download the episode. It is the best way to support us. And yeah, we're going to end the show now with a message. We have a local event we want to talk about. So here you go.
Yeah, locally we're going to be having there's going to be a benefit.
We're not doing this.
Yeah,
we're not having the benefit. We're telling you about the benefit.
Yes. This was brought to my attention, and they asked if we could mention it here. It's going to be a benefit for a very nice girl named Sarah. She's fighting cancer. She's been, I remember her from the IROC. She bartended at the IROC. I played a bunch of shows there when she was there.
Always a part of the local scene.
Yeah, so she's a big part in entertainment, and so that means she's part of our family here. So we're going to be posting I have the flyer here. It's going to be at the Liberty Riders MC Clubhouse in Detroit. Screaming Scott from the Riff is going to be promoting it on the radio. There's going to be 3 bands, a raffle. Doors are going to be at 5 p.m. and it's a $10 donation at the door. So that we'll post that, and it'll have the address on that for you. And we wish her the best.
Absolutely. So if you are a local to Detroit and you want to check that out, you go ahead. It's a fun event. It's just donation. So, please be generous, but you don't have to really worry about that, and come on by.
Yep. Thank you very much for listening. Shoot us a message. Like I said, we'll be posting that flyer for that event. So it's only $10 at the door to help out. And she's really young. She's a cool person. Help her out.
Obviously, cancer's terrible, and we empathize with anyone who has that in their life. And if you want to try to make someone's life a little bit more sunny, come check out the benefit. All right. Well, here from Earthling Entertainment, that's it. Talk to us next week. All right. Peace.
Peace.
So we have a small problem is me and Ryan have been having a few conversations before we got started. And I promise you that this episode will never be as good as those conversations we just had. But obviously we weren't recording.
Oh, yeah. Good times, buddy.
Yeah.
Definitely. we're geniuses when we're not on the air too.
Apparently,
You know?
yeah. But don't worry, this episode's gonna be great. I promise you. It's just not gonna be as good. Anyways,
not as good as yes, maybe perhaps some off-air, unedited shit. Then maybe we should do some behind-the-scenes stuff. I would love to do that.
yeah. But the problem is, I would forget that it's recording, and then I'd just be walking around my house, and I'd be like just saying weird shit. Because like I go through scenes. I'm a writer. I'm just talking to myself. I play characters. I'll randomly just outburst with one sentence that was just a continuation of a conversation two characters were having in my head, and they would just be like, "Wait, why does Joe want to sell pickles naked?" Like, it's not sexual.
Pickles.
Context.
Who doesn't like a good pickle?
Aha, my wife. All jokes aside, for whatever reason, dill pickles. No, this isn't a penis thing. This is a dill pickle thing. And let me tell you, not a fan. Can't get her. Like, she's so bad that if a pickle was on a sandwich, she can't even take it off because she's like, the flavor remains.
I forget what comedian said it. He said it's too aggressive. You put like a pickle spear. He's like, that is not an appropriate side or garnish. It's too aggressive. And now my fries are all juicy. And that is the worst. They do that all the time. I always wonder. I'm like, what are you doing? Why would you do this? Like, if you insist on giving me a pickle, you're gonna have to put that bitch in like its own little tray. It's got to be on its own.
See, I disagree just because I'm a fan of the pickle. It's usually a good opposite flavor, and it's got a different crunch. And I don't know if it's on a burger. I even put pickles on hot dogs, but that's just me.
No, I love relish too, but I just remember that comedian's name, Chris Porter. I saw him live. He's hilarious.
Well,
but anyways.
right on.
Yeah, Oscar the Grouch Award. I like it.
Totally.
Is that who it's named after? Is it Oscar the Grouch?
Absolutely.
That's what I thought.
No.
He's a great man.
Well, I personally think he's trash, but I might just be judging him by his home.
One such.
Yeah, it's true though. A good cryptid is threatening because if you hear about like, there's this weird bunny creature. It's small and it's cute and it only comes out at night. You're just like, oh,
it's
like,
really, really fluffy.
Yeah, like unless it's like, oh, you know what? Never mind the fur trade. Oh, but fur's not in right now. Okay, so hypothetically, if furs were in, if this is like 1800s and we're beaver trappers, then that thing would probably.
I'm still a beaver trapper, sir.
I'm just, fair enough.
Despite the numerous expeditions and investigations conducted by everyone from academics to amateurs, there remains.
Even his dude named Carl, man, he was my neighbor. He's like, I'm gonna go check that shit out.
Carl's an idiot.
Well, yeah.
He's a fool.
And he won't put his fucking trash cans back in the garage.
Oh, that's annoying. What an eyesore.
Oh, well, you know what I like? I like how you had no idea how to like move that along. So you just that was well done.
A neighbor that doesn't take care of the front of his lawn? The fuck?
All right. Sorry. You know what, Ryan? They can't all be gold. All right. I am trying here to be entertaining while you read things about cryptids, which is admittedly pretty awesome.
I think you are the best. I think you are
sometimes
the best.
I don't feel appreciated by you.
You should.
Look
at the way I'm looking into your eyes, Joe.
Oh my God. It's like looking into an ocean on a faraway planet.
A brown ocean.
Why is it because
my eyes are brown? My eyes are brown,
well,
Joe.
Admittedly, I can't really tell from here. They all kind of look, they must be brown because they look kind of like you were a completely black-eyed pupil, like you were a little Riddick over there.
I'm actually one of the black-eyed children.
Oh! For more information on the black-eyed children, please listen to last week's episodes. Continue.
All right. According to some accounts, the worm can even spit a stream of deadly poison toward the victim, which paralyzes the victim and inevitably leads to death.
Oh, yeah, dude. It's like Jurassic Park style. It's like... And the fat guy's like, oh, my God, how am I going to get these emeralds off the island? Oh, my face. I'm fat. I died.
I never understood that because that can look to me like shaving cream.
Well, that was the point. It was,
and then he put it on top of the pie. when he got it from him, and as a kid I was always like, why did he put the why did he do that? Why is he gonna eat the shaving cream?
Admittedly, I don't know which pie the shaving cream went on, but maybe he was going to eat it and he was just like, I'm going to be rich. I'm going to eat shaving cream. Maybe it was like a badass move, right?
I kid you not. It still bothers me.
Well, no, think about it. Like, he's just like, I'm going to act like this isn't even a thing. It's like the guy who wears sunglasses in a nightclub, and it's just like, this guy can't fucking see anything. He's sitting there smiling. You think he looks cool. He's really sitting there like, I can't see anyone. No?
No.
What do you mean?
I don't know. Okay. Back to these worms.
Oh, yeah. Ryan is finding himself not understanding how to move forward in some of these jokes, I see.
I hate sounding like one of those pricks, but the hour change is kind of getting me right now.
What are you saying? You tired?
I'm a little tired. But
Well, you know what? I'm tired too. Tired of your excuses!
Ah!
Now get in your corner!
I'm sorry, Joe.
Do you want your bowl of kibble?
I really, really do.
Read!
I'm reading.
That is your job!
I was about to.
I let you see the sun yesterday!
You did. It was gorgeous.
Yes! That's the hope that'll keep you going through the darkness of my rule, you son of a bitch!
Thank you.